Hello everyone, today, we're going to explore the lives of three remarkable women who used forbidden love and strategy to change the course of history. Throughout history, love has not only been a personal emotion but, at times, a powerful political tool. These women wielded love as a weapon and reshaped the fate of nations. What were the truths hidden behind their legendary relationships? We will dive into their lives, explore the strategies they employed, and reveal how love turned into a game of power that influenced entire empires. In this video, we'll examine three iconic figures: Cleopatra, Marie Antoinette, and Catherine the Great. These women, each in their own era, held immense influence over the people and politics around them. Their romantic entanglements weren't just affairs of the heart, they were calculated moves that shifted the balance of power. First, let's explore Cleopatra, the enigmatic queen of Egypt who charmed Rome's greatest leaders. Then, we'll move on to Marie Antoinette, the Queen of France whose lavish lifestyle and politics sparked a revolution. Finally, we will delve into the life of Catherine the Great of Russia, who expanded her empire through both wit and romance. These women's actions weren't just personal, they had massive consequences for the nations they ruled. By the end of this video, you'll understand how love became a weapon in the hands of these powerful women. So, without further ado, let's dive into the stories of these extraordinary women and the forbidden love that changed history. Cleopatra was born into the Ptolemaic dynasty, a ruling family of Egypt that traced its lineage back to Alexander the Great's general, Ptolemy. The dynasty had ruled Egypt for centuries, but Cleopatra's early life was set against the backdrop of increasing internal conflict and external pressures. Egypt was under Roman influence, and the power struggles within Cleopatra's own family only exacerbated the instability. Cleopatra had to face this strife head-on, and one of her earliest challenges was the rivalry with her own siblings for control of the throne. She was eventually forced to exile her own brother, Ptolemy XIII, in a bid to secure her position as queen. Cleopatra was not a mere puppet ruler, she was an intelligent, highly educated woman who spoke multiple languages and understood the intricacies of both Egyptian and Roman politics. Unlike many of her predecessors, she actively embraced Egyptian culture, learning the language and engaging with the people of Egypt on a personal level. Her intellect and strategic mind set her apart, but it was her alliance with Julius Caesar that would cement her place in history. After being exiled by her brother, Cleopatra famously had herself smuggled into Caesar's presence in a rolled-up carpet. This bold move won her Caesar's favor, and together they formed a powerful alliance that would see Cleopatra return to power. Their relationship was not merely a political one. Cleopatra and Caesar shared a personal bond, and their union produced a son, Ptolemy XV, better known as Caesarion. Although Caesar never officially recognized Caesarion, the boy symbolized a potential future alliance between Egypt and Rome. Cleopatra's influence on Caesar was undeniable, as she provided him with significant financial resources, including grain and military aid during his campaigns. The two rulers worked to strengthen Egypt's position in the Mediterranean while balancing Rome's growing dominance. However, Caesar's assassination in 44 BC left Cleopatra in a precarious position. With Rome in turmoil and her protector gone, Cleopatra needed to secure a new Roman ally to maintain Egypt's sovereignty. Mark Antony, one of Rome's most powerful men, would become Cleopatra's next ally and lover. Antony, a member of the Second Triumvirate, found himself increasingly drawn to Cleopatra's charm, intelligence, and resources. Their relationship, like that with Caesar, was both personal and political. Antony needed Cleopatra's wealth and military support to bolster his position against Octavian, Caesar's adopted heir. Together, Cleopatra and Antony formed an alliance that would challenge Rome's existing power structure. Cleopatra's ambitions were clear. She wanted Egypt to regain its former glory and independence, with her and Antony ruling over a vast empire. The couple's dreams of expansion clashed directly with Octavian's own ambitions for Rome. Octavian, who would later become the first Roman Emperor Augustus, portrayed Cleopatra as a dangerous seductress who had corrupted Antony. This propaganda campaign turned public opinion in Rome against the couple, painting Cleopatra as a manipulative foreign queen. The final confrontation between Octavian and the lovers took place at the Battle of Actium in 31 BC. Antony and Cleopatra's forces were no match for Octavian's fleet, and they suffered a decisive defeat. After the battle, Antony returned to Egypt, where both he and Cleopatra tried to salvage their situation. Cleopatra knew that Octavian was on his way to Egypt and that there would be no negotiation or compromise. Desperate, she attempted to negotiate with Octavian, hoping to secure her children's future. However, Octavian had no interest in negotiating with Cleopatra, and she realized that he intended to take her captive and parade her in his triumph back in Rome. Faced with the humiliation of being displayed as a trophy in Rome, Cleopatra made the decision to take her own life. The details of Cleopatra's death remain shrouded in mystery and legend. According to the most famous version, Cleopatra arranged for a venomous asp to be smuggled into her quarters, using the snake to end her life. Other accounts suggest she ingested poison, but regardless of the method, her death marked the end of an era for Egypt. With Cleopatra's death, the Ptolemaic dynasty came to an end, and Egypt was absorbed into the Roman Empire as a province. Cleopatra was the last pharaoh of Egypt, and her death marked the fall of the Hellenistic kingdoms that had ruled much of the ancient world since Alexander the Great. Despite her tragic end, Cleopatra's legacy has endured for centuries. She is remembered not only for her beauty but for her intelligence, political acumen, and ability to navigate the treacherous waters of Roman politics. Cleopatra's life was a blend of ambition, strategy, love, and ultimately tragedy. Her ability to form alliances with powerful Roman figures such as Julius Caesar and Mark Antony showed her political savvy and her willingness to take bold risks. Cleopatra's reign represents one of the last great attempts to maintain Egypt's independence in the face of overwhelming foreign influence. Her story has been romanticized and dramatized in plays, movies, and literature, but at her core, Cleopatra was a ruler who fought for her people and her kingdom. Cleopatra's legacy goes beyond her relationships with powerful men. She remains a symbol of a woman who defied the constraints of her time. Through her intelligence, charisma, and determination, Cleopatra carved her own place in history. Her influence extended beyond Egypt and into Roman culture, where she was both revered and feared. Cleopatra's story is one of power, politics, and the eternal struggle for control and independence. Cleopatra's life has been portrayed in countless works of art, literature, and film. From Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra to the 1963 film starring Elizabeth Taylor, her story has continued to capture the public's imagination. But beyond the romanticized versions of her life, Cleopatra was a pragmatic ruler who knew how to use her intellect and charm to achieve her goals. Her relationships with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony were as much about political strategy as they were about personal affection. Cleopatra was not a passive figure, she was a woman of action, one who took control of her own destiny in a world dominated by men. Her reign may have ended in tragedy, but her legacy as a powerful, intelligent, and influential leader has endured through the ages. Cleopatra's ability to navigate the complex political landscape of her time, while maintaining her authority in Egypt, is a testament to her brilliance. Her story serves as a reminder of the enduring struggle for power and independence, and the sacrifices that often come with it. Cleopatra was not just a queen, she was a strategist, a diplomat, and a visionary. Her influence extended beyond her own lifetime, shaping the course of history in both Egypt and Rome. Even today, Cleopatra's life continues to inspire and intrigue, making her one of the most compelling figures in history. Her story is one of ambition, resilience, and the ultimate sacrifice for her people and her country. Cleopatra's ability to form alliances, navigate political intrigue, and maintain her authority in a male-dominated world speaks to her intelligence and determination. She was a queen who refused to be sidelined or controlled, making her one of the most enduring and fascinating figures in history. Her legacy, both as a ruler and as a woman who defied expectations, continues to inspire people around the world. Cleopatra's story is a powerful reminder of the complexities of leadership, love, and power in the ancient world. As Cleopatra faced the aftermath of Julius Caesar's assassination in 44 BC, her position became increasingly precarious. With Rome in chaos, Cleopatra knew that she needed to find another powerful Roman ally to secure her throne. Mark Antony became Cleopatra's new partner in both politics and romance. Antony, known for his charisma and military prowess, was one of the most influential men in Rome. Cleopatra and Antony's relationship wasn't just personal, it was a powerful political alliance. Together, they sought to challenge Rome's power and restore Egypt's glory, envisioning a vast empire with Egypt at its center. Antony, in return, benefited from Cleopatra's immense wealth. Egypt's resources were crucial in maintaining Antony's power in Rome and the Mediterranean. However, Antony's relationship with Cleopatra drew the ire of Octavian, Caesar's heir. Octavian used propaganda to portray Cleopatra as a dangerous seductress, manipulating Antony for her own gains. The rivalry between Octavian and Antony culminated in the famous Battle of Actium in 31 BC. Cleopatra and Antony's forces were defeated by Octavian's fleet. After the defeat, Antony and Cleopatra retreated to Alexandria. Their dreams of empire began to crumble as Octavian's forces approached. In their final days, Antony and Cleopatra tried to negotiate with Octavian, but their efforts were in vain. Antony, mistakenly believing Cleopatra had died, took his own life. Cleopatra, devastated by Antony's death, made a final attempt to negotiate with Octavian, but he was determined to take her back to Rome as a prisoner. Rather than face humiliation in Rome, Cleopatra chose to end her own life. The method of her suicide remains debated, though many believe she used a venomous snake. Cleopatra's death marked the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty. Egypt was absorbed into the Roman Empire, and Cleopatra became its last pharaoh. Despite her death, Cleopatra's legacy endured. She became a symbol of powerful women who wielded influence in a male-dominated world. Cleopatra's political savvy, intelligence, and determination to protect Egypt's sovereignty make her one of history's most compelling figures. Cleopatra's life has been romanticized in countless plays, films, and books. She remains a figure of fascination, her story blending fact and myth. Cleopatra's legacy teaches us about the complexities of power, leadership, and sacrifice. Her ambition and determination to protect her country have left an indelible mark on history. Despite her tragic end, Marie Antoinette's life continues to spark fascination. Her image has been shaped by myths and rumors, both during her life and after her death. One of the most enduring aspects of her legacy is her fashion sense. Marie Antoinette was a trendsetter, and her extravagant hairstyles and dresses became the height of French fashion. She was known for her towering wigs, often adorned with feathers, jewels, and even model ships. Her dresses, made of the finest silks and fabrics, were copied by noblewomen throughout Europe. However, her fashion choices only deepened public resentment toward her. Many viewed her love of luxury as a symbol of the monarchy's excesses. In reality, much of the court's spending was typical of European royalty at the time. Still, Marie became the face of these extravagances, unfairly shouldering the blame for France's financial troubles. Her private life was also the subject of scandal and speculation. It was rumored that she had numerous lovers, though most of these claims were likely false. Her close friendship with the Swedish Count Axel von Fersen fueled these rumors. Some even speculate that Fersen helped plan the royal family's failed escape. Yet, there is little concrete evidence to prove an affair between the two. Despite this, Marie's reputation was further tarnished by these rumors. She was painted as a disloyal wife and a manipulative woman, further alienating her from the French people. The French court, with its intrigue and gossip, also played a role in Marie's downfall. Many courtiers resented her influence over the king and her closeness with select nobles. As revolution loomed, Marie Antoinette became the focus of a smear campaign. Satirical pamphlets depicted her in unflattering ways, further turning public opinion against her. These pamphlets often exaggerated or completely fabricated stories of her supposed decadence and immorality. The diamond necklace affair was one of the most damaging of these scandals. Marie Antoinette was falsely implicated in a scheme to defraud the crown jewelers. The public, already distrustful of the queen, was quick to believe the accusations. Despite her innocence, this scandal solidified her image as corrupt and disconnected from the people. As the French Revolution began to take shape, the queen's every move was scrutinized. Even her attempts to support charitable causes were dismissed as insincere. Marie's life during the revolution was marked by increasing isolation and fear. Her former luxuries were replaced by the constant threat of violence from an angry populace. The fall of the monarchy and her eventual execution would cement her as a tragic figure in history. By 1791, Marie Antoinette's life had drastically changed from the opulent days of her early reign. The royal family attempted a desperate escape from France, known as the Flight to Varennes. This escape plan, however, ended in disaster when they were captured and brought back to Paris. The failed escape marked the beginning of the end for the monarchy. Marie Antoinette's situation grew even more precarious as the revolution became more radical. Many revolutionaries saw her as a symbol of everything wrong with the monarchy. She was blamed for France's financial ruin, though the reality was much more complex. The revolutionaries called her Madame Deficit, accusing her of single-handedly causing the country's economic collapse. Louis XVI, though still king, was now a virtual prisoner in his own palace. Marie Antoinette, too, found herself increasingly isolated and powerless. During this period, Marie became more politically active, trying to preserve the monarchy. She corresponded with foreign powers, hoping to secure military support. Her efforts, however, were unsuccessful, as Europe was reluctant to intervene in French affairs. Marie Antoinette's personal courage became more apparent during these years of struggle. She stood by her family, despite the growing threats to their safety. Her focus shifted from her previous luxuries to the survival of her children and husband. She tried to maintain a sense of dignity in the face of the revolution's chaos. However, public opinion had turned irreversibly against her. The revolution's leaders used Marie as a scapegoat for the failings of the monarchy. Her Austrian heritage was also weaponized against her, and she was called the Austrian whore. The revolutionaries accused her of conspiring with Austria to overthrow the French government. In 1792, the monarchy was officially abolished, and the royal family was imprisoned in the Temple. Louis XVI was executed in January 1793, and Marie Antoinette became a widow. Her grief was immense, but she had little time to mourn. Shortly after Louis' death, the revolutionary government turned its attention to Marie. She was put on trial in October 1793, facing charges of treason, incest, and other crimes. The charges were largely fabricated, designed to inflame public hatred against her. One of the most shocking accusations was that she had an inappropriate relationship with her son. Despite these outrageous claims, Marie maintained her composure throughout the trial. She defended herself eloquently, though it was clear the trial was a farce. In the end, Marie Antoinette was found guilty and sentenced to death by guillotine. On October 16, 1793, she was executed in front of a jeering crowd in Paris. After her execution, Marie Antoinette's legacy was both tarnished and romanticized. She became a symbol of the downfall of the monarchy, as well as a tragic figure in French history. For some, she was the epitome of excess, decadence, and detachment from the struggles of the people. For others, she represented the cruel fate of a queen who was ultimately a victim of circumstance. Over the centuries, her image has been reinterpreted in countless plays, films, and books. In particular, her life has been portrayed as a cautionary tale about the dangers of power and privilege. Historians have continued to debate Marie Antoinette's role in the events leading up to the French Revolution. While she undoubtedly lived a life of luxury, much of the blame placed on her was exaggerated. Many of the financial problems France faced were long-standing and not solely due to her spending. The monarchy itself had been struggling with debt and mismanagement for decades. However, Marie Antoinette's lavish lifestyle made her an easy target for the revolutionaries. She became the face of the monarchy's perceived indifference to the suffering of the French people. Despite her many flaws, Marie Antoinette's story also reveals her personal strength in times of adversity. She was a mother who fiercely protected her children, even as her world crumbled around her. During her final days, her letters revealed a woman deeply concerned for her children's future. After her execution, her son, Louis XVII, was kept in captivity and subjected to terrible conditions. He would eventually die in prison at the age of 10, adding another tragic chapter to Marie's legacy. Her daughter, Marie Therese, was the only member of the royal family to survive the revolution. After years in captivity, Marie Therese was eventually released and went on to live a long life in exile. She worked tirelessly to restore the Bourbon monarchy, though her efforts were ultimately in vain. Marie Antoinette's story is intertwined with the broader history of the French Revolution. Her downfall marked the end of the French monarchy and the beginning of a new republican era. Her life continues to capture the imagination of people around the world. From her dramatic rise to power to her tragic fall, Marie Antoinette's story is one of both excess and humanity. She was a queen who enjoyed unimaginable wealth and power, but also faced unimaginable suffering. In the end, she was a complex figure caught in one of the most turbulent periods of history. Her life serves as a reminder of the fragile nature of power and the high price of privilege. Today, Marie Antoinette is remembered as both a symbol of royal excess and a tragic queen. As we look back on her life, we see a woman who was both a product of her time and a victim of it. Her legacy continues to spark debate, and her story will likely endure for generations to come. Marie Antoinette's life may have ended in tragedy, but her influence on history is undeniable. To fully understand Marie Antoinette's legacy, it's important to look at her early years. Born in 1755, she was the youngest daughter of Empress Maria Theresa of Austria. As a child, she enjoyed a privileged upbringing, surrounded by luxury and wealth. Her marriage to Louis XVI of France was arranged as part of a political alliance between Austria and France. At just 14 years old, Marie Antoinette was thrust into the complex world of French court politics. She quickly became a popular figure, admired for her beauty and charm. However, life at the French court was anything but easy for the young queen. She struggled to adapt to the strict etiquette and constant scrutiny from the nobility. Over time, Marie Antoinette's carefree lifestyle and extravagant spending earned her many enemies. She was frequently criticized for her lavish tastes and perceived indifference to the struggles of ordinary people. Despite the criticisms, she continued to host extravagant parties and indulge in luxuries. The royal court at Versailles became a symbol of excess, and Marie Antoinette was at the center of it all. Her most notorious indulgence was the construction of the Petit Trianon, a private retreat where she could escape from the pressures of court life. This luxurious estate, complete with beautiful gardens and a mock peasant village, was seen as an insult to the suffering French people. As tensions grew between the monarchy and the people, Marie Antoinette became an increasingly unpopular figure. She was nicknamed Madame Deficit due to the belief that her spending was responsible for the country's financial crisis. In reality, the economic problems were far more complex, but she became the scapegoat. The infamous phrase "let them eat cake" is often attributed to Marie Antoinette, though there is no evidence she actually said it. Regardless, the rumor stuck, further damaging her reputation. As the French Revolution gained momentum, Marie Antoinette's life took a dark turn. The royal family was forced to flee Versailles in 1789 as revolutionaries stormed the palace. They were captured and brought back to Paris, where they lived under constant surveillance. During this time, Marie Antoinette desperately tried to secure help from foreign powers. She hoped to rally support for the monarchy and restore order in France. However, her efforts were in vain, and the situation grew more dire by the day. In 1791, the royal family attempted to escape to Austria, but they were caught and imprisoned. This failed escape sealed Marie Antoinette's fate and further fueled public anger against her. In 1792, the monarchy was officially abolished, and Marie Antoinette's husband, Louis XVI, was executed. Marie Antoinette was left alone, a queen without a kingdom, facing an uncertain future. She was eventually put on trial by the revolutionary government and found guilty of treason. Her execution followed shortly after, ending the reign of one of history's most controversial queens. But even in death, Marie Antoinette's story continued to fascinate and provoke debate. As the revolution progressed, Marie Antoinette's life took a darker turn. She and her family were imprisoned in the Temple, a medieval fortress in Paris. Despite the hardship, she maintained a sense of dignity and resilience. Her children, particularly her young son Louis Charles, suffered immensely during this period. Louis Charles was separated from his mother, a heart-wrenching moment for Marie Antoinette. The boy was placed in the care of revolutionaries, where he was mistreated and neglected. This emotional torture weighed heavily on Marie Antoinette, breaking her spirit. She fought to remain strong, but the loss of her son haunted her. In the public eye, Marie Antoinette was vilified as a symbol of everything wrong with the monarchy. The press dubbed her Madame Deficit, blaming her lavish lifestyle for France's financial woes. However, historians suggest that her personal spending was not the main cause of the financial crisis. The real issue lay in years of mismanagement and costly wars, but Marie Antoinette bore the brunt of the blame. Her enemies painted her as out of touch, frivolous, and even manipulative. Rumors spread about her alleged affairs and extravagant spending, much of which was exaggerated. One of the most famous rumors was the "let them eat cake" myth, which she likely never said. Nevertheless, this rumor stuck, cementing her image as an uncaring queen. As the revolution intensified, the calls for her execution grew louder. Marie Antoinette was eventually separated from her family and put on trial. The charges against her were both political and personal, with accusations ranging from treason to moral corruption. Her trial was a spectacle, with little chance of acquittal. Despite her defense, she was found guilty of treason. On October 16, 1793, Marie Antoinette was taken to the guillotine. Her final moments were marked by dignity, even in the face of death. According to witnesses, she remained calm and composed as she faced the crowd. She reportedly apologized to the executioner after stepping on his foot, her last words being, "Pardon me, sir, I didn't mean to do it." Her death marked the end of the French monarchy's influence, and she became a tragic figure in history. Over time, Marie Antoinette's reputation has been re-examined, with many historians recognizing the political scapegoating she endured. Her life, once filled with grandeur and excess, ended in tragedy. Today, Marie Antoinette is remembered not just as a queen but as a woman who faced unimaginable challenges. Her story continues to fascinate, serving as a symbol of the complexities of power, fame, and downfall. In retrospect, she represents the fragility of privilege and the unpredictable nature of history. Marie Antoinette's life and death remain one of the most poignant tales of the French Revolution. Marie Antoinette's legacy has been shaped by both fact and fiction, blurring the lines between her true self and the image constructed by her enemies. Following her execution, she became a symbol of both excess and victimhood. For revolutionaries, she represented the old regime's corruption and privilege. For her supporters and later historians, she became a tragic figure caught in the crosshairs of a political storm. Her reputation fluctuated over the centuries, with romanticized depictions of her life and death dominating popular culture. In 19th-century France, Marie Antoinette became a symbol of martyrdom for the conservative, royalist factions. Monarchists celebrated her as a victim of revolutionary cruelty, even using her image to rally against Republican ideals. On the other hand, the French Republic and its supporters continued to portray her as a frivolous, out-of-touch queen who contributed to the monarchy's downfall. These polarized views of Marie Antoinette contributed to the mythologizing of her character. Her luxurious lifestyle, combined with the hardships she faced during her imprisonment, created a dramatic narrative that captivated the public's imagination. Artists, playwrights, and filmmakers have taken inspiration from her life, often focusing on the contrast between her opulent early years and her tragic end. One of the most famous portrayals of Marie Antoinette in recent years was Sofia Coppola's 2006 film, which depicted her as a misunderstood young queen, overwhelmed by the pressures of the French court. The film portrayed her in a sympathetic light, highlighting her youth and isolation rather than her political failings. This portrayal helped to rehabilitate her image for modern audiences, painting her as more of a victim of circumstances than an agent of her own demise. The lavish costumes, decadent set design, and modern soundtrack of the film also contributed to a renewed fascination with Marie Antoinette's world. Yet, despite this more sympathetic portrayal, the deeper complexities of her role in the revolution continue to be a point of debate among historians. Some argue that she was simply a scapegoat for the monarchy's broader failings. Others contend that while she was not the sole cause of the revolution, her actions, particularly her resistance to reform, played a part in the monarchy's collapse. Her infamous image as Madame Deficit persists, even as scholars uncover more nuanced interpretations of her life. Despite these differing perspectives, one thing remains clear: Marie Antoinette's life and death have left an indelible mark on history. Her story is one of transformation from a carefree Austrian archduchess to a powerful queen, and finally, to a tragic martyr. Her journey through the treacherous landscape of 18th-century French politics offers insight into the dangers of power, privilege, and public perception. Today, Marie Antoinette's influence can still be felt in various aspects of popular culture. Fashion designers continue to draw inspiration from her extravagant style, with corsets, powdered wigs, and pastel colors making regular appearances on runways. Her life story also serves as a cautionary tale about the fragility of public opinion and the power of propaganda. The rumors and accusations that circulated about her, whether true or false, played a significant role in her downfall. In a way, Marie Antoinette's story is as relevant today as it was in her time. It serves as a reminder of how quickly the tides of public opinion can turn and how power can crumble when it loses touch with the people. Her legacy also prompts us to consider the balance between personal responsibility and external forces in shaping history. While Marie Antoinette certainly made mistakes, the broader political and economic circumstances of the time cannot be overlooked. In the end, she was a product of her environment, navigating a system that was already on the brink of collapse. As we reflect on her life, we are left with a deeper understanding of the complexities of leadership, legacy, and the human cost of political change. Catherine the Great, originally born as Sophie of Anhalt-Zerbst, was not initially destined for greatness. Born into a minor German nobility, her early life was relatively modest, but even from a young age, Catherine demonstrated intelligence and ambition. Her marriage to Peter III of Russia was orchestrated to strengthen ties between Prussia and Russia, but the relationship between them was strained from the start. Peter was erratic, uninterested in Catherine, and unpopular among Russian nobles and military leaders. Despite their loveless marriage, Catherine saw opportunity in Russia's political instability. She was determined to seize power and restore order, even if it meant overthrowing her husband. Catherine formed key alliances with military officers, nobility, and influential courtiers, positioning herself as a competent alternative to her husband. In 1762, when Peter III ascended the throne, his rule quickly became chaotic. His pro-Prussian policies angered many in Russia, and his plans to reduce the privileges of the Orthodox Church alienated religious leaders. Sensing a growing discontent, Catherine made her move. With the help of her loyal supporters, including Gregory Orlov, one of her lovers and a key military figure, Catherine launched a coup. Peter was deposed and eventually died under mysterious circumstances, leaving Catherine as the sole ruler of Russia. Her ascension to power was not without controversy, but she quickly consolidated her rule. Catherine portrayed herself as a defender of Russian values, adopting the Orthodox faith and presenting herself as a true Russian monarch. Her reign would mark the beginning of one of the most significant periods in Russian history, as she would go on to expand the empire and solidify its place in European politics. Catherine's rise to power was a testament to her cunning and strategic mind, and it was only the beginning of her long and impactful reign. After taking the throne, she wasted no time in making changes that would shape Russia for years to come. One of her first actions as ruler was to strengthen Russia's military and fortify its borders. Catherine understood the importance of having a strong military presence, particularly with the Ottoman Empire threatening Russia's southern borders. Under her leadership, the Russian army grew in both size and strength. She modernized the military, bringing in foreign advisors and adopting new tactics and technologies. Catherine's focus on military power also extended to expanding Russia's territory. During her reign, Russia annexed large parts of Poland, Ukraine, and Crimea, significantly increasing the size of the empire. But Catherine was not just a ruler of war, she also had a vision for Russia's internal development. She initiated widespread reforms aimed at modernizing Russian society and government. Inspired by the ideas of the Enlightenment, Catherine sought to improve education, legal systems, and the economy. She corresponded with prominent European philosophers like Voltaire and Diderot, earning her the nickname the Enlightened Empress. Catherine's ambitions extended to cultural development as well. She was a patron of the arts, establishing theaters, libraries, and museums and promoting Russian literature and music. Under her reign, Russia experienced a cultural renaissance that rivaled the courts of Europe. Despite her many achievements, Catherine's reign was not without challenges. Domestic unrest, rebellions, and conflicts with neighboring powers would test her leadership and resolve. Catherine the Great, originally born as Sophie of Anhalt-Zerbst, was not initially destined for greatness. Born into a minor German nobility, her early life was relatively modest, but even from a young age, Catherine demonstrated intelligence and ambition. Her marriage to Peter III of Russia was orchestrated to strengthen ties between Prussia and Russia, but the relationship between them was strained from the start. Peter was erratic, uninterested in Catherine, and unpopular among Russian nobles and military leaders. Despite their loveless marriage, Catherine saw opportunity in Russia's political instability. She was determined to seize power and restore order, even if it meant overthrowing her husband. Catherine formed key alliances with military officers, nobility, and influential courtiers, positioning herself as a competent alternative to her husband. In 1762, when Peter III ascended the throne, his rule quickly became chaotic. His pro-Prussian policies angered many in Russia, and his plans to reduce the privileges of the Orthodox Church alienated religious leaders. Sensing a growing discontent, Catherine made her move. With the help of her loyal supporters, including Gregory Orlov, one of her lovers and a key military figure, Catherine launched a coup. Peter was deposed and eventually died under mysterious circumstances, leaving Catherine as the sole ruler of Russia. Her ascension to power was not without controversy, but she quickly consolidated her rule. Catherine portrayed herself as a defender of Russian values, adopting the Orthodox faith and presenting herself as a true Russian monarch. Her reign would mark the beginning of one of the most significant periods in Russian history, as she would go on to expand the empire and solidify its place in European politics. Catherine's rise to power was a testament to her cunning and strategic mind, and it was only the beginning of her long and impactful reign. After taking the throne, she wasted no time in making changes that would shape Russia for years to come. One of her first actions as ruler was to strengthen Russia's military and fortify its borders. Catherine understood the importance of having a strong military presence, particularly with the Ottoman Empire threatening Russia's southern borders. Under her leadership, the Russian army grew in both size and strength. She modernized the military, bringing in foreign advisors and adopting new tactics and technologies. Catherine's focus on military power also extended to expanding Russia's territory. During her reign, Russia annexed large parts of Poland, Ukraine, and Crimea, significantly increasing the size of the empire. But Catherine was not just a ruler of war, she also had a vision for Russia's internal development. She initiated widespread reforms aimed at modernizing Russian society and government. Inspired by the ideas of the Enlightenment, Catherine sought to improve education, legal systems, and the economy. She corresponded with prominent European philosophers like Voltaire and Diderot, earning her the nickname the Enlightened Empress. Catherine's ambitions extended to cultural development as well. She was a patron of the arts, establishing theaters, libraries, and museums and promoting Russian literature and music. Under her reign, Russia experienced a cultural renaissance that rivaled the courts of Europe. Despite her many achievements, Catherine's reign was not without challenges. Domestic unrest, rebellions, and conflicts with neighboring powers would test her leadership and resolve. Catherine's reign brought profound changes to Russia's military and cultural stature. She worked tirelessly to modernize Russia and integrate it into the European Enlightenment. Catherine founded Russia's first state-funded school for girls, a remarkable achievement. She believed educated citizens were crucial for the country's growth. Under her reforms, literacy and intellectual life flourished across Russia. Despite her efforts, Catherine's reforms had limits, particularly with serfdom. She introduced legal reforms but did not abolish serfdom, leaving many peasants in subjugation. The Pugachev Rebellion in 1773 tested Catherine's reign, driven by the discontent of serfs. The rebellion forced Catherine to reconsider the scope of her reforms. Catherine successfully crushed the rebellion, but unrest remained a challenge. In foreign policy, Catherine sought to expand Russia's influence, especially in wars against the Ottomans. Her victories gave Russia access to the Black Sea and solidified its power in Eastern Europe. Catherine also pursued diplomatic alliances with major European powers. She played a pivotal role in the partitions of Poland, gaining significant territory. These territorial expansions further cemented her influence in European politics. Catherine's personal life, however, remained controversial. She had several relationships with younger men, sparking gossip across Europe. Yet, despite the rumors, she maintained her authority and control. Her relationship with Gregory Potemkin was one of the most significant. Potemkin was not only her lover but also a trusted advisor and military leader. Together, they modernized Russia's southern territories, especially after annexing Crimea. Potemkin's influence was so profound that stories of Potemkin villages arose. While exaggerated, these stories reflect his lasting impact on Catherine's reign. In her final years, Catherine focused on securing the succession for her grandson, Alexander I. She feared her son Paul would undo her reforms, but she passed away in 1796. Catherine left behind a vastly expanded empire with great influence in Europe. Her reign is remembered as one of Russia's golden ages. However, her legacy is not without complexity. While her reign saw growth and cultural flourishing, it also involved scandal and serfdom. Catherine's rise and reign transformed Russia into a leading European power. Her ambitions and intelligence left a lasting imprint on Russia's history. Despite the contradictions of her reign, Catherine the Great remains one of history's most influential rulers. Catherine's leadership was continuously tested throughout her reign. One of the most significant challenges came in 1773, with the Pugachev Rebellion. Led by Yemelyan Pugachev, a Cossack and pretender to the throne, the rebellion shook Russia to its core, particularly in the southern regions. Pugachev claimed to be the deposed Peter III, gathering a following of peasants, Cossacks, and serfs who were disillusioned with Catherine's reforms. For Catherine, the rebellion was a direct threat to her authority. The revolt spread rapidly, and at its height, Pugachev's forces controlled large swaths of territory. Catherine acted swiftly and decisively, sending her army to crush the uprising. After a series of battles, Pugachev was captured and executed in 1775. The rebellion exposed deep social tensions in Russia, particularly among the peasantry who remained largely oppressed despite Catherine's reforms. In the aftermath, Catherine became more cautious in her approach to domestic reforms, understanding that rapid changes could lead to instability. Despite this, she continued to pursue policies that expanded the power of the nobility while keeping the lower classes in check. Catherine's focus on expanding Russia's influence extended beyond her military and territorial ambitions. She also had grand plans for diplomacy and forging alliances. Throughout her reign, Catherine maintained close relationships with European powers, particularly France, Austria, and Prussia. These diplomatic ties were essential to ensuring that Russia remained a key player in European politics and was not isolated on the international stage. Catherine understood the importance of balancing power, and she navigated these relationships with strategic precision. Another key aspect of Catherine's reign was her promotion of Enlightenment ideas, not just within Russia, but also in her dealings with European intellectuals. She engaged in correspondence with several prominent figures, including Voltaire and Diderot, both of whom admired her leadership and vision for Russia. Despite the admiration she received from the European intellectual elite, Catherine was pragmatic in her application of Enlightenment ideas. While she valued concepts like justice and education, she knew that too much reform too quickly could destabilize the empire. Catherine's approach to governance was a blend of enlightened ideas and autocratic control, making her both a modernizer and a traditional ruler. Her reign saw the expansion of educational institutions, the codification of laws, and efforts to modernize Russia's economy. One of her major achievements was the Charter to the Nobility, which granted new rights and privileges to the Russian aristocracy. In return, Catherine secured their loyalty and support, ensuring that her reign would be stable and secure from internal threats. The charter helped solidify the social order in Russia, with the nobility enjoying unprecedented power, while the peasantry remained subjugated. Catherine's rule wasn't without personal scandal. Her love life, particularly her relationships with numerous lovers, became the subject of much gossip. Some of her lovers, like Gregory Potemkin, were not just romantic partners but key political allies who helped her navigate the complexities of Russian court politics. Potemkin, in particular, played a crucial role in Catherine's expansionist policies, overseeing the annexation of Crimea in 1783. The relationship between Catherine and Potemkin was one of mutual respect and admiration. Potemkin's strategic brilliance complemented Catherine's vision for Russia. Their partnership was a powerful force in shaping Russia's foreign and domestic policies during the height of Catherine's reign. Potemkin's military leadership and diplomatic skills were instrumental in Russia's successes, particularly in its wars against the Ottoman Empire. Catherine's foreign policy successes, such as the annexation of Crimea, further established Russia as a major European power. However, these expansions also increased tensions with neighboring powers, particularly the Ottoman Empire and Austria. Catherine's ambitions did not go unchecked, and she faced resistance from other European rulers who viewed Russia's growing power with suspicion. Despite these challenges, Catherine continued to pursue her vision of a strong, modern, and influential Russia. Her reign was a delicate balance between ambition, diplomacy, and domestic governance, ensuring that her legacy as a powerful and transformative ruler would endure. Catherine's reign marked the beginning of a new chapter in Russian history, with her ambitious policies of territorial expansion. One of her major military successes was the Russo-Turkish Wars, where Catherine aimed to push the Ottoman Empire out of strategic regions like Crimea. This conflict was not only a military campaign but also a political statement, showcasing Russia's growing influence on the global stage. Under Catherine's leadership, Russian forces managed to gain control of key territories, including the Black Sea, which opened new trade routes. The annexation of Crimea in 1783 was a significant victory, as it solidified Russia's control over the region and weakened Ottoman power. Catherine's strategic vision wasn't limited to military conquest. She also aimed to expand Russia's influence diplomatically. She formed alliances with European powers like Austria and Prussia, securing Russia's place among the great powers of Europe. Domestically, Catherine sought to strengthen her rule by centralizing authority and ensuring loyalty from the nobility. To do this, she established the Charter of the Nobility, which granted privileges to the Russian aristocracy in exchange for their support. However, Catherine's policies also sparked unrest among peasants, who were left with little benefit from her reforms. The most significant of these uprisings was the Pugachev Rebellion, a massive peasant revolt led by a Cossack claiming to be the legitimate Tsar. The rebellion spread rapidly across Russia, threatening Catherine's rule, but was eventually crushed by her military forces. Despite the internal challenges, Catherine's reign saw the expansion of Russian territory, influence, and cultural development. She continued her efforts to modernize Russia's institutions, bringing Western ideas into Russian society. Catherine's correspondence with Enlightenment thinkers like Voltaire and Montesquieu influenced her reforms, particularly in education and law. While Catherine embraced Enlightenment ideals, she was also pragmatic, ensuring that her reforms did not undermine her authority. Her reign is often seen as a balancing act between modernization and maintaining the autocratic power structure of the Russian Empire. Catherine's efforts to westernize Russia brought about a cultural renaissance, with art, literature, and architecture flourishing during her reign. She commissioned grand projects, including the construction of the Hermitage Museum, which remains a symbol of Russian cultural achievement. Catherine was also a patron of Russian literature, encouraging the works of prominent writers like Denis von Vezin and Gavrila Durshaven. However, her reign was not without controversy. Catherine's relationships with her lovers, particularly Gregory Potemkin, often overshadowed her political achievements. Potemkin played a crucial role in Catherine's expansionist policies, particularly in the colonization of Crimea and the establishment of new towns. Despite the personal nature of their relationship, Potemkin was an able military commander and administrator, helping Catherine realize her ambitions. Together, they worked to integrate the newly conquered territories into the Russian Empire, creating a lasting legacy for Catherine's reign. Catherine's relationship with Potemkin, along with her other lovers, became fodder for gossip and criticism both in Russia and abroad. Many of her critics in Europe portrayed her as a woman ruled by passion, but Catherine's political acumen ensured her legacy as one of Russia's greatest rulers. By the time of her death in 1796, Catherine had solidified her place in Russian history, leaving behind an empire stronger and more expansive than ever before. Her reign lasted 34 years, and in that time, she transformed Russia into a major European power. Catherine's legacy is a complex one, marked by both military conquest and cultural development, as well as the challenges she faced in maintaining control over her vast empire. She is remembered not just as a powerful ruler, but as a visionary who helped shape modern Russia. Her impact extended beyond her reign, influencing future generations of Russian leaders and shaping the course of European history. Catherine the Great's story is a testament to the power of ambition, strategy, and resilience in the face of political challenges. By the time of Catherine's death in 1796, Russia had been transformed into a major European power. Her reign, which lasted for 34 years, is often considered one of the most significant periods in Russian history. Catherine's legacy extends far beyond her territorial conquests and political alliances. Under her leadership, Russia became a hub for culture, art, and intellectual thought. The Hermitage Museum, one of the most famous museums in the world, was founded during her reign. Her patronage of the arts helped bring about a cultural renaissance in Russia, elevating its status on the global stage. Catherine's ability to blend Enlightenment ideals with autocratic control set her apart as a unique leader. She embraced modern ideas, but she was always careful not to undermine the power structure that supported her rule. The balance Catherine struck between modernization and maintaining authority allowed her to govern effectively. Her reign was marked by progressive reforms that sought to modernize Russia without destabilizing it. Catherine's legal reforms, particularly her efforts to codify laws, helped shape the future of Russian governance. Though many of her plans were left unfinished at the time of her death, her legacy endured. Future Russian rulers would draw inspiration from Catherine's policies and strategies. Despite her many achievements, Catherine's reign was not without controversy. Her relationships with her lovers, particularly Gregory Potemkin, became the subject of gossip and scandal. However, these personal controversies did not overshadow her accomplishments as a ruler. Catherine's partnership with Potemkin was instrumental in expanding Russia's influence and territory. Their work together led to the successful annexation of Crimea, solidifying Russia's control over the Black Sea region. Potemkin's military and political acumen complemented Catherine's vision for Russia. Their relationship, though often romanticized, was a key factor in the success of Catherine's reign. Catherine's foreign policy successes helped secure Russia's place among the great powers of Europe. Her diplomatic efforts with Austria, Prussia, and other European nations ensured that Russia would not be isolated. Catherine's focus on expanding Russia's influence was not limited to military conquests. She also promoted cultural exchanges and intellectual collaboration with Europe. The cultural development during her reign positioned Russia as a leading force in European art and thought. Despite the admiration Catherine received from Europe, she remained deeply committed to Russia. Her ability to navigate both domestic and international challenges was a testament to her leadership. Catherine's reign is remembered as a time of great change and progress in Russian history. Her vision for a strong, modern Russia shaped the empire's future long after her death. Catherine's legacy as one of the greatest rulers in Russian history continues to inspire leaders today. She is remembered not only for her military successes but also for her cultural and intellectual contributions. Catherine the Great's reign remains a defining period in Russian history, cementing her place as a transformative leader. In this video, we explored the lives of three extraordinary women who shaped the course of history: Cleopatra, Marie Antoinette, and Catherine the Great. These women were not just defined by their beauty or love stories, but by how they used love as a political tool, wielding strategy and power to control the fate of their nations and empires. Their intelligence, courage, and determination to change the world around them continue to amaze us. Cleopatra used her relationships with Caesar and Antony to protect Egypt. Marie Antoinette faced the turmoil of the French Revolution while maintaining her royal dignity. Catherine the Great strategically expanded Russia into one of the great powers of Europe. These stories are a testament to how love and power are intricately intertwined. These remarkable women left a lasting impact on history through their actions and decisions. Did you enjoy learning about these three great women? Which one of them inspired you the most? What do you think about their influence on history? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. We'll be bringing you more fascinating stories of historical figures in future episodes. So, stay tuned. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.